And joining us now is Republican Senator Bill Hagerty of Tennessee, a close ally of President-elect Trump. Senator Hagerty, thank you for being with us. I know you have spent a lot of time with the President-elect at Mar-a-Lago and also in Texas since he won the election. Give us a sense. What do you expect? What does he expect for his first days in office? How's he going to get started?
Well, one, I'd say this, John. He's got tremendous energy. He's feeling great. The mandate that came from the American public is overwhelming, and he's absorbed that, I think, in a very positive way. He knows that the American public has voted to see change, radical change in Washington, and I think that's what he's ready to deliver. It's our job in the legislative branch to work alongside with him, arm in arm, and I look forward to doing that.
And I've taken note with how quickly he's made his cabinet nominees, White House staff announcements, much quicker than he did 8 years ago. But obviously, even in a Republican-controlled Senate, confirmation can be a bit sticky. What's his expectation? How much of his cabinet does he expect to be in place for the first days of his presidency?
He clearly expects to hit the ground running. He wants us to have these hearings done quickly and expeditiously. I've said I'm more than happy to work through the weekends as long as it takes to get this done, to get people ready and prepared to go so that on the 21st of January, the American public can begin to see his team get seated and the action that they hope to see, the change that they hope to see be put in place in terms of strengthening our economy, strengthening our military, basically making America the country that we all hope and believe it can be.
All right, so obviously there's some controversy surrounding several of his picks, perhaps most so at this point, Pete Hegseth to be the defense secretary. I think he's actually currently a constituent of yours. But he's faced these allegations of sexual assault dating back to 2017. My understanding is Donald Trump didn't even know about those allegations until after he named him. Is that your understanding?
John, all these are, as you said, are allegations. It's amazing how this comes out. Pete is a very talented individual. I talked with him earlier this week. He told me, John, about how many people had written to him and said, look, I was thinking about getting out. You know, we have a huge recruitment problem, a huge retention problem in the military. I was thinking about getting out, but now that you've come to lead us, Pete, I'm going to stay in. That's the type of inspirational leader we need to see. Don't let these allegations distract us. What we need is real significant change. The Pentagon has been more focused on pronouns than they have lethality the past 4 years. We need to get back to business, and I think Pete is just the person to do it.
But clearly, I mean, I've heard even from some of your Republican colleagues, you have to examine the allegations. You have to look at what's there. Are you confident that there's nothing else to come about Pete Hegseth? I mean, this was a pick that came together very quickly with very little vetting.
Actually, the transition team has been working for months to prepare for this. I'm certain that there was significant vetting that has taken place. It has for every candidate. So I'm not expecting anything to sort of see drop, as you say, or that type of thing. What I expect is to see a thorough hearing take place, to see the Senate do its work. And I expect to see Pete Hegseth confirmed as our next Secretary of Defense.
Your colleague, Senator Joni Ernst, Republican of Iowa, of course, member of the Armed Services Committee, has said that she would like to see and a combat veteran herself, she would like to see an FBI background check that would be helpful of Pete Hegseth. As you know, there haven't been FBI background checks for any of these nominees. Do you agree with her, though, that this should happen before we get to confirmation votes?
I don't think the American public cares who does the background checks. What the American public cares about is to see the mandate that they voted in delivered upon. We need to get to work again. Making our military stronger is absolutely critical, and I think we're looking at a chance to do this. If you look at the cabinet that's in place right now, the worst that we've ever seen. Alejandro Mayorkas has got to go down as the worst cabinet secretary in history. If you think about the failures on his watch, the failures of FEMA, if you think about what's happened at our southern border, the invasion that's happened there, the murder of Lake and Riley, the Secret Service failures, we have to get competent people into office. Lloyd Austin overseeing Afghanistan. What a debacle that was. No one has been held to account by the Biden administration. The American public is ready to hold these people to account now and replace them with a new team.
So are you saying you don't care about FBI background checks? Should we just do away with them? That you can go ahead and not do this for? It's been standard practice, as you know, for a long time. But you're saying do away with it?
Certainly, John. I've been through it myself. I've been through confirmation as well. They need to do these checks expeditiously. The FBI, I think the American public's got great concerns about how weaponized it's become. They need to get on with this. We'll get this done.
I understand you've also had some concerns about Hegseth's view on women in combat. You know, he said pretty flatly, although there are some exceptions that he's outlined, but he doesn't like women in combat. You disagree with him on that, as I understand it. Has he given you assurances that he won't try to change Pentagon policy on that?
The policy is set by the President of the United States, not by the cabinet members. I may disagree with him. Look, I disagreed with Rahm Emanuel on many things, but I supported him to be our ambassador to Japan because that was what we needed to do at that point in time. I think Pete Hegseth will follow the lead of the commander-in-chief. That's what I fully expect.
Okay, let me ask you about the big announcement that came Friday. Once again, Donald Trump moving very quickly. Gates drops out, and then boom, you have Pam Bondi announced as actually Thursday as the choice for Attorney General. You know, she's obviously qualified. She's been you know, Attorney General for Florida for 8 years. She's also a lobbyist, and she's lobbied for the Qatari government. You called the Qatari government a, quote, Hamas benefactor. Are you concerned that you have as the Attorney General somebody that lobbied on behalf of somebody that you consider a Hamas benefactor?
Well, I'm not familiar with Pam's background and her career beyond being Attorney General of Florida, which I understand she was a great Attorney General. I know Pam. I think she'll be outstanding in the job. I'll say this about the Qataris. They've now kicked Hamas out. This is the Trump effect taking place even before he takes office. So I certainly am pleased to see that occur, and I hope we see more of it.
Okay, let me ask you about another one here. We've got Tulsi Gabbard to head up the intelligence agencies, DNI. She is somebody who has been harshly critical, not that long ago, of Donald Trump. In fact, while Trump was in office. So let me just go over some of the things that she has said. On the Iran nuclear deal, she said, quote, "It is unacceptable that Trump withdrew. The action that this Trump administration has taken in reneging and breaking our role in the Iran nuclear agreement when Iran is complying." She also said that President Trump's decision to take out Iranian General Qasem Soleimani is, quote, "an illegal and unconstitutional act of war," and that it further highlighted Trump's lack of experience and understanding on a basic level and a lack of foresight in national security and foreign policy. She has also, of course, blamed the United States and NATO for Russia's decision, illegal action to invade Ukraine. What's your feeling on Tulsi Gabbard to head DNI?
Well, I certainly don't have to agree with her on every point either, John. Nor does
these are some pretty big points, though.
Do is pull. Yeah. Well, you know, for example, on the Iran nuclear deal, we found out later Israel proved it. They were not complying. You know, you can have bad information. What I think happens here, though, is there are consequences in President Trump's cabinet. There have been zero consequences in President Biden's cabinet. Again, massive failures on his watch, massive failures by his cabinet members. You look at what Tony Blinken and Lloyd Austin have done on an international scale. They've not been held to account. Again, the debacle in Afghanistan, probably the greatest embarrassment in our lifetimes. No one held to account. President Trump will fire people that don't do their job well. I fully expect everybody coming into the cabinet will listen to President Trump. They'll let him set the policy, and they'll execute according to that plan.
And finally, the issue of recess appointments. You know, Trump had suggested and wanted John Thune to agree to it. The idea that if he can't get confirmation on any of these, that he could bypass the Senate and do what's called recess appointments. Is that still on the table? Do you think that's still something that Trump is considering?
It is and should be on the table, John. President Reagan's used it. President Clinton used it. George W. Bush used it. This is a constitutionally available tool. What we want to see is Democrats cooperate with us. But if the resistance movement gets as heavy as it was, I've been through the process myself of confirmation. I turned my paperwork in on the 21st of January. I didn't get through the process till July. So we need to see things move in a far more expeditious pattern. We need to see things move quickly. The American public has spoken in that regard, as I said in the beginning. President Trump is ready for action. We need to put a team in place around him, and he needs every tool at his disposal to do that.
Recess appointments have certainly been used. Barack Obama named members famously to the National Labor Relations Board in a recess appointment, but never, as I understand it, for positions as important as cabinet secretaries of the largest cabinet agencies. And let me just ask you, just finally, you mentioned if Democrats are obstructing, would he do that or try to do that if he didn't have the Republican votes to get somebody confirmed? Because that's the issue. If he doesn't have the Republican votes, would he try to bypass the Senate and appoint a major cabinet secretary in a recess?
Again, John, I haven't spoken with President Trump about the specific plans. What he wants to do is see these appointments made quickly. He wants to see us get through the confirmation process. And again, I think everything should be on the table. And I think if my colleagues understand that, they'll know that they need to step up and move expeditiously to get these cabinet members confirmed.
All right, Senator Bill Hagerty, thank you very much for joining us on
John.
this Sunday. Thank you.
Very good to be with you today.